Rafael Stone was asked about the playoffs and what we've been seeing in them, and here's what the Rockets general manager had to say.
We should all be watching because that's what you aspire to be. And the game is changing. It's evolving, and some of the trends in the playoffs will be things. Well, some of the things that they see in the playoffs, including just how hard you have to play, are things that we very much need to be all about starting game one next year.
To Stone's commentary, I hope that Alperen Sengun, our Alpy, has been handcuffed into a chair, that his eyelids are open, Clockwork Orange style, held open, and that he is watching every single thing that Nikola Jokic does over the remainder of these NBA finals. I'm not just talking about in the games. I want him watching every single thing that Nikola Jokic does in his life. And it's a crazy comparison to make, but Sean Mapes and I noticed this the first time we went to a Rockets game this year. It's one thing to see it on TV. It's another thing to see it in person. Şengün has an incredible ability to pass the ball. He has size, and there, I think, is a world where Şengün can maybe not be quite Nikola Jokic, but can be very effective as the guy that maybe helps the Rockets put their offense through something that hasn't really taken root across the NBA yet, with a big guy that essentially stands in the middle of the lane and just creates for all the guys around him. Şengün was on a Turkish podcast, and someone actually transcribed the interview that he did. I'm very thankful that they did, because I had no idea, obviously, no idea what they're saying. Believe it or not, I don't understand Turkish. But he had a couple of interesting things. First off, he was asked about Ime Udoka and the expectations that come with Udoka aboard. Şengün said, "Yeah, I hope there's high expectations. I've always been a very coachable player. Whatever Udoka wants and sees fit, I will do my best." Last year, continued Şengün, I had a talk with Silas. I told him, get mad at me, yell at me, push me in the team. I told him maybe a lot of players won't like this. Damn, is that a shot fired at his teammates? But I'm not like that. And that's really how we all felt about Stephen Silas this past year. He's just too lovey-dovey, and he never lit them up, except for after that one press conference where he finally seemed to snap. And at that moment in time, we all knew he's done. Because you don't just change your style while things are going down the toilet and expect it to work. No one's going to take you seriously. And again, Silas went through a lot last year. His dad died, and I think he just got a coaching gig elsewhere, right, with the Detroit Pistons. I doubt they're paying him much, given that they paid Monty Williams like $80 million. So might be one of those internship kind of salaries or whatever.
Gerçek.
Yeah.
But that means facts in Turkish. Since
oh my
Şengün
God.
was on a Turkish podcast.
Okay, that's a good reference. It's a good reference, but we did have to explain it. Anyway, Şengün also had this to say, which is probably going to make you shake your fist one more time at Stephen Silas. At the beginning of the year, I was shooting threes with a low percentage. So Silas asked me not to shoot and told me to pass even if I was open. This motivated me. I decided to use it more without hesitation for my individual development, and I improved my percentages. I'm going to trust myself and shoot. Şengün as a guy that stretches the court. I mean, you want that. That's what you want from every single big, at least a guy who has the ability to do that. Not at the cost of physicality, which does also seem to be a problem across the NBA. There's a lot of big guys who don't play with the size that they have. Jokic does. And he is a bit of an ogre underneath the hoop, which is exactly what you want. You want a guy that's going to push people around and use his weight, use his body. And you want Şengün to continue to do that. But he is the most intriguing player on this Rockets team. And I know that some people like Jalen Green. I feel like he's got to win me back this coming season. And I like what we saw from Jabari Smith Jr. at the end of the year, but also young player. But there's a lot that Şengün brings to the table that I think could translate to just a totally different Rockets team. And it's a matter of, is Ime Udoka going to figure out how to put an offense together that uses Şengün more? They should use him a lot. They can't bench him. They can't do any of that BS they did last year. That guy, I think, has shown that he has the most skill of the skill players. And yeah, I'm including Jalen Green in that conversation. And I want to see them absolutely maximize him this coming season. So hopefully he gets better with the three-point shot. But I like hearing that he likes tough coaching, and I'm just annoyed that Stephen Silas clearly wasn't giving it to him, even when he asked for it from Silas. We're all waiting for that asteroid to kill us. The news that James Harden is going to return to Houston. I think the latest from Keith Pompey of the Philadelphia Inquirer is exactly what we heard a couple of weeks ago. Quote, Harden is expected to opt out of his contract and sign with the Houston Rockets in free agency. Put that in another blurb that he put out there the other day. The Rockets had some sort of, I don't know what the charitable effort was for, but it looked like they were rebuilding houses. And Matt Musil of KHOU, who I was on Sports Extra with last night, had a fun back and forth with Ime Udoka about the possibility of James Harden joining the Houston Rockets.
James Harden has a restaurant not too far from here.
I've heard.
Are you interested in what happened here?
We just passed the place. I think they said Lost and Found right here. So all the guys were talking about it say it's one of the first places I got to hit, but I'll be hitting all the local spots for sure.
Would you like to have him back as a player?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Love Rockets PR. He smiled as he walked away. Thank you. Thank you. We don't want that question asked. Thank you. Because he can't comment on it. You're in this weird moment where you're not allowed to talk about any potential impending free agents. I think Brad Stevens had something similar as far as, hey, you're going to give Jaylen Brown the Supermax, and it was the same kind of deal.
Well, no, Jaylen Brown's he's the Boston. He's under contract for the next year.
There's also something where you aren't allowed to talk about like the contracts at this moment in time.
Oh yeah.
Because Stevens said I'm not allowed to talk about that right now. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's weird. It's a weird period of time.
Like James Harden, despite everything that you've heard listening to sports talk radio in town, isn't a Houston Rocket anymore. He hasn't been a Houston Rocket for like 3 years now.
But gonna be.
Yeah. So Ime Udoka, by the letter of the law, can't be like, well, I'd love him. Can you imagine?
Right, I know.
He could build. Imagine how many houses he could build with all these bricks he's putting up this postseason.
Oh, nice, Sean. That was good.
There we go.
Rack 'em.
Yeah.
What's up, clubs?